Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffett Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everybody, not just to episode number 108. Welcome to the month of December, which, by the way, includes my birthday and my wife's birthday. Oh, and there's a guy in a red velvet suit that's going to be out and about that will be a little busy for this time of year, no doubt about it. But what we've been busy doing is talking to the creators. We have been talking to those that are in the arts and entertainment in the Greater Sioux Empire. If you're not with the Greater Sioux Empire, a familiarity, take a look at the middle of the United States. You're going to find Interstates 90 and 29 cross each other. That's where the bustling metropolitan area of Sioux Falls, South Dakota is, which is where we record the vast majority of these conversations. And it's all about Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment conversations, including a couple dandies today. Later on in the show, we'll be speaking with Late Night Boomin's Jack Unruh. He's one of the hosts. And then also one of the co-hosts of Backlot 605 and a fine film critic in his own right, and also cartoonist Sam Lenz is going to be coming up in just a few minutes. But you know how we start the weekend off. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day, and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near, and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. This Weekend Eve toast goes out to a dear young lady that I've become friends with over the past couple of years, and then got to meet her husband this past year as well, and became friends with him. Alex Gilbert Schrag, Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Executive Director, is moving on. She's taking a position up in the Twin Cities. Alistair will be joining her there as well. I believe he'll be able to work remotely. But especially got to know them both this past summer when I volunteered for Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues for a full month. Spent some time over at their house, got to know their dogs, and just a wonderful, wonderful young couple. And Alex, we all know that no matter what you do, you will be a success. Alex took over at a very trying time for Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues after the big announcement that there wasn't going to be a jazz fest, and then, a pandemic, and that is the correct pronunciation, hit us. And so she did what she was able to do, which is far more than anybody else would have been able to do in that spot. So, Alex, here's my toast to you. You know what I'm drinking, Jack Daniel's Diet Coke with a lime. And I know that, if you allow yourself, you're maybe having a little gin or vodka something, aren't you? Otherwise, next time I see you, I still have the note in my phone as to what we need to get at Starbucks. So congrats, Alex. Best wishes to you and Alistair. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls or even Adigan Glacial Lakes Distillery, Ale Hop Brewery Tours is going to let you and your friends choose what to go to. See, they've got this really cool van, sits up to 6 people, so you can make a little party out of it, and they take care of the driving. And you can book private tours online at alehopbrewerytours.com. If you're out and about on the weekend, hop on one of their public tours. For more info, call 605-777-2183. That is 605-777-2183. Oh, what a great little holiday outing that would be. Or maybe you have a very small office and you can fit a few people inside there, fan. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews. Honorable mention. All right, what tickled Dave's funny bone made me laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, or maybe just smile? Well, big smiles came first. Here's to you, downtown Sioux Falls. For last Friday night, we first attended the lighting of the big tree outside Washington Pavilion. They had live music there as well, including the 1270s, and we're working to get them on the show in the very near future. And then after that, the Parade of Lights down Phillips Avenue. Just spectacular. And then after that, there was this little after party, and I met up with some fine folks, all of whom have been guests on the Dave Holly Hour. A couple of them several times, but Sadie Swear from Downtown Sioux Falls organization was there, and she was handing out the awards and so forth. But they had live music as well, and it was our dear friend, the original friend of the show, Elizabeth Hunstead, and then the man who knows how to order tacos for my family, Ruben Rodriguez, who's been on a few times as well. So thank you, Downtown Sioux Falls and Mother Nature, for providing incredible weather for all that. It was just a spectacular time, and everybody had a great time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, coming up a little bit later, it's going to be local TV talk show host Jack Unruh. But up next, movie lover and cartoonist Sam Lenz on the Dave Holly Hour.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XL Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xlchiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XL Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
Happy holidays from everyone at Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. Each week, we bring you new and different things. Yeah, we've had a lot of people on. We've had a lot of people that have been, on several times, shall we say, John Gaskins. But then this young man hasn't been on in a little over a year, I think.
Yeah.
Sam Lenz, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me back.
Well, it's great to have you back because, the last time we talked about the fact that we'd been in improv together.
Mm-hmm.
And, your acting and some of the other things you do, but also your art and your love of movies. But now that love of movies has made you, are you a regular now on Backlot 605?
Yep,
You're part
I am
of
officially the third host
show.
of Backlot. Yep.
Okay, which is a great podcast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I've had those guys on a couple of times. I've been on their show once, actually twice, I think.
Yeah, and we got to get you back soon.
Yeah, and just to enjoy that thoroughly, and such a great part, especially with how the State Theater has come about and rejuvenated the need for and the want for film.
Yeah.
And at that time, when we first spoke, you were just kind of first getting into being a bit of a movie critic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where would you put the line as to where you are in that part of everything you do now?
Well, I'm still making the same amount of money on it, which is pretty much nothing, which is fine.
That's why you got into podcasting, so you can make like $6 a week.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Instead of like the $5.50 that I was getting before. Yeah, no, I'd say that definitely with the podcast, it's challenged me to not only think of movies critically, but also, I mean, when you're a podcast, you have to be entertaining too.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance of like, okay, I'm prattling on about this movie, but am I making it interesting for people? And I guess you have that with writing too. It just feels a little different when it's on a podcast, but I love it. I think that I've grown. It's pushed me out of my comfort zone on a few different times. And actually, because of that, I've found new movies that I love and new genres that I love. And so it's been a blast, like getting to grow with that, you know?
What I've enjoyed about listening to your comments and reading them on Facebook and on social media and so forth is the fact that, because you're a relatively young man,
Yeah.
is you having to go back and take a look at some old classic movies. And I love getting a perspective of somebody that's doing that, not just for the fact that, hey, it's cool, but also for the fact, the respect that there is for good filmmaking, no matter what generation line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What's been the one that surprised you the most going back?
One that we didn't cover it on the podcast, but it was one that Casey, who's a co-host on it, he talked me into going to it at the State, was the Kevin Costner movie Bull Durham. I'm not typically like a sports movie person. I like sports movies when I see them. I just don't technically, like, they just aren't typically what I seek out. Bull Durham blew my mind. Like, that movie is so good, and baseball is like, it's a big part of it.
Right.
But it's also like more about the story between these three people that just find themselves at this crossroads.
Exactly.
And it's so beautifully acted by Costner, Sarandon, Tim Robbins. Like, I love it. That might be one of my favorite fresh watches from the last year. I absolutely adored Bull Durham.
Yeah, I love that movie. Ever have, I'll always have, ever since it came out. And Costner's, of course, great in anything for the most part.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Baseball movies, he's been in several. My favorite baseball movie is For Love of the Game.
I still have yet to see that one.
Ooh.
I need to check it out because that's the one he did with Kelly Preston,
Yes,
right?
Kelly
Yeah.
Preston. Yep, just an amazing movie.
Yep.
I love baseball movies. That's one of my big genres of movies that I get into. That and holiday, because I kind of play a character that's associated with Christmas, so I dig a lot of those. But baseball movies especially. If I said that I had a forte in movies that I would qualify to be a critic at, it would be that. Would be baseball movies. And
That's
yes,
awesome.
Bull Durham is up there, man. That's just you're so right about it. Yeah, you're seeing the baseball action. You learn a little bit about minor leagues and what happens to people that are there for life and things along that line. But just such a great story told.
Yeah.
There are so many different lines. When you love a movie, you're going to come up with at least a dozen lines that you love out of it. And my favorite line in that movie has nothing to do with baseball. But when it's Annie talking about, when she was in a previous life, she must have been so-and-so. And Kevin Costner is sitting there eating cereal. And he says, why is it that when everybody's been in a different life, they've always been somebody famous? Why not Joe Schmo?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that.
But for the record, in my previous life, I was Babe Ruth. I did it all on hot dogs and beer. Didn't need any steroids.
That's fair. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out.
What is it about movies in general that you are drawn to? And then we'll use the word drawn several times yet in this conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think for me, movies are just like, they're kind of an escape, And I know that sometimes like a great movie will deal with something that's happening that's very timely. I mean, you look at a great horror thriller from the last couple of years, like Get Out, where like, yes, it's escapism, but it's also bringing the problems of life directly front and center. But there's something different about watching something like that in a safe space where it's like, the credits are going to roll and I'm going to be fine. And that's what I love about movies is like, they can put you in the worst situations and then you get to turn it off and be like, okay, like I'm moving on with my life, or they can be a total escape where it's like, I don't feel like thinking about anything right now. I'm going to put on, Adam Sandler's The Water Boy or something and just laugh for an hour and a half. I think it's one of the best forms of storytelling because it's so easy to consume, so that it's just very accessible for a lot of people, and I love that. I love that as a form of escapism, and I love that as a form of storytelling.
How was it for you during what I refer to as the pandemic? Without theaters to go to?
Yeah. It was weird for a while. Mainly because, it was all at home viewing. And then a funny thing happened where I was like, this isn't that bad. Like, I haven't had to shush anybody while I'm watching movies. No one's gotten out their phone and lit a bright light in front of me. They're generally, when you do venture out to the theater, masked up and everything, there's not very many people, and we're all keeping away from each other. I'm like, this is nice. This is how movies should always be. And so it's kind of carried into, if I can watch something at home, I have been, unless of course it's at the State Theater, because that's just an experience and they do great work there.
No doubt.
But I've rarely gone out to the theater if something has been available to like rent or stream at the same time, just because there's so many different factors going into the theatrical experience. And I've just had some real bad crowds in the last couple of like big movies I've went to, and I'm just like, oh, come on,
Yeah.
So, but honestly, it didn't change a whole lot for me. There were still movies coming out. They weren't the big ones, but there were still indie ones coming out on streaming and things like that. So I was still able to, watch at least one new movie a week, which I always try to do. And the venue was a little different. It was my couch instead of a Cinemark theater.
I love the part you said about the State, because they do it right.
Yeah.
That is so great. And,
And
let's see, we were there for Caddyshack, and it was
I bet that was incredible.
Carrie and I there together for the first time, and she got such a kick out of the collective cracking of the beers that took place.
Yes.
And she just thought that was awesome. But of course, watching a classic like Caddyshack, just such fun. And it's because the majority of the crowd that was there had seen it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was one of and that's what I like, is they bring so many of those back. Mm-hmm. And like the Hitchcock shows and things like that. It's just great what they do.
Yeah.
And so thankful for that. All right. What's new that you've seen that you've really liked? Theater or streaming?
A new movie that I've watched recently that I really liked. I really dug Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho. It is, I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like people should go into it as blind as possible, but it's very much inspired by like 80s Italian horror, specifically like giallo films, but it's also like very 60s and just inspired by just film in general at the time of the 60s and fashion and all that. There's just a hodgepodge of eclectic bits that go into this movie, and it takes some big swings. I know there's a lot of love it or hate it discourse. I'm very much in the I loved it camp. And I definitely recommend Last Night in Soho.
All right. I will have to watch that one. Now, the one that we caught over the weekend that I just thought, I really wasn't sure what it was going to be going into it, other than I love Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm. The Red Notice.
What a frickin' fun film.
So much fun. It really is.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be that. I knew there'd be the Ryan Reynolds typical lines and so forth, but just, for an action movie, and but a fun storyline to it as well.
Oh yeah.
And just absolutely thoroughly, I was like, I am so glad we watched that.
Yeah.
He
and Dwayne Johnson have really good chemistry in that.
They do.
My favorite gag is when Dwayne breaks the glass and Ryan goes to do it, and it just hits his elbow, and it's just great.
Yeah, they do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. movies, you've got so many different genres. We think about it and we try to narrow it down to, we got rom-com, we got drama, and we got action.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot within each of those.
Yeah.
That can make it fun. And, even when you go back to a Die Hard, I'm getting too old for this shit, and things like that. It's just, there's something that can come about it. And, there's a lot of great movies. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of clunkers.
Yep. And most movies are literally just okay.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like it's okay.
But even in that range, and that's a wide range for that okay part.
Yeah.
Even in that range of okay, there's still something you usually come away with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cool Runnings was not a huge thing. Good at the box office, but not a critically acclaimed show.
Yeah.
And John Candy being someone that had been in the Olympics got caught cheating, and then he's explaining to somebody that if you're not anything without a gold medal, you'll not be anybody with a gold medal.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that line. I think of things like that, of how often there's, an average, that okay listing of movie, and you go, yeah, but I still recall this part of it.
Yep.
And so forth.
And for me, I'd say a movie like that, for me, that's The Croods,
Okay.
I think of that movie and it's fun. It's fine. It's not very memorable except for the ending where you don't know if Nicolas Cage's dad is going to make it over. And when he does, it's like, I remember getting so choked up in the theater at that moment. And I would never say The Croods is one of my favorite movies. I still haven't even seen the sequel, but I will always remember just getting so choked up in that moment in the theater. Like, oh wow, that hit, you know?
Yeah, it brings out the emotions, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's also brought out the art.
Yes.
Because you have always been a bit of a sketcher and enjoyed putting... Do you use pen for the most part, or what's the medium you like to work in most?
I really like pen. I like inking. Mm-hmm. Recently, I've been doing a lot digitally. So with my Apple Pencil, and I'm still inking just through apps that I can ink with.
Because at first I started to notice everything you were doing for Backlot 605. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, Sam, this is great stuff. And then, 3 months ago?
Yeah, it's been about 3 months now. Yeah.
You started drawing your very own cartoon, a comic strip.
Yep.
The Ghoulfields.
The Ghoulfields, yeah.
Tell us about it.
So the Ghoulfields, I grew up on the Munsters and the Addams Family, and I always loved those spooky kind of counterculture families. Mm-hmm. It was just always so much fun watching Herman Munster and his clan get into shenanigans, and the same with Morticia and Gomez. And I just thought, there's something there. You've got the new Addams Family animated stuff, and Rob Zombie's doing his new Munsters thing, but I'm like, there's a different story to be told in that format of the nuclear family that's a little different than everybody else. And for a long time, I had kicked around this idea of having a family of zombies living through the human apocalypse. And it was that idea that just kind of sat and germinated. And I'd had it for 4 years, and I'd even drawn some really early character designs and initially envisioned it as an animated series. Well, then one day it just kind of clicked. About 5 months ago, I was just doodling, just sketching, and I was drawing this girl, and I'm like, no, that's my Sally. This drawing that I did 4 years ago, that's not Sally. This is my Sally. And so I started thinking about this character, and I'm like, she's not a zombie, she's a ghoul. And she comes from a mixed family. Her dad's a human, her mom's a ghoul, her brother's, like her, half and half. And she is aberrantly fighting the human side of her all the time. She just wants to be a scary ghoul. Damn the consequences, and that causes problems for the rest of the family who's just trying to fit in with normal society. And so it turned into one of those things where I thought of that. I was drawing. I made this drawing of her, and I'm like, I have to finish this. I have to actually get something out with this. This is cool. And that's what I did. I spent 2 months writing backstories and all this kind of stuff for it. And then I finally I was like, I'm going to put it out. I'm going to start doing it. And I've been putting them out consistently for about 3 months now.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. It's challenging sometimes, I started with a pretty big reserve and that is gone now. So I'm like really having to come up with new things all the time. But it's so much fun because I get to, I don't know, I just get to put them in crazy situations and I get to reference the movies and the shows that I love.
Right. I was going to say there's a lot of Sam that comes through.
Yeah. I've always told Maria when I created her, I'm like, I mean, Sally's pretty much me. Like that's me in a nutshell. It's like, it's me living vicariously through this little ghoul girl.
All right. So I find it on social media. Is that the only place at this point?
At this point, yeah.
Okay.
I am looking at potentially doing a physical release of it, like putting together an actual physical collection of it and that type of thing. But for now, yeah, it's on social media. I have a Patreon it's for my art in general, but most of it's like Ghoul Fields.
Good. So people can donate and make a contribution to it and keep you ghouling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that has to be kind of an interesting spot to be because, before social media, anybody that would have had a cartoon strip would have been hustling and hitting the pavement trying to get it published somewhere. Now you can at least get it out there.
Yeah. And that was my thought process behind it. I love Calvin and Hobbes. Mm-hmm. It's maybe one of my favorite pop culture things ever. I love Calvin and Hobbes. I had every book growing up as a kid. Like Bill Watterson is my hero. And I remember reading interviews with him where he would say things like, oh, this strip got me pulled from this paper, or like, they made me change this so that they could actually print it in all the papers and stuff. And for a while I was thinking like it would be cool to get it in like a newspaper. And then I was like, with what I want to do with this, I don't know if I'll be able to do that unedited into a newspaper. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there are things I never want to cross the line, but I want to.
You don't have an editor at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm my own editor. I can do what I want with it. And so that was kind of the decision to just self-publish it and push it out on social media because I'm like, no one's going to stop me from doing something crazy,
What's feedback been like?
Really good. Actually, this past weekend over Thanksgiving, my grandma, who is not a horror person whatsoever, she made mention that she liked it, but it was a little gory sometimes for her taste. I was like, all right. But yeah, overall reception's been really positive. People seem to like it, and people really like Sally, which was the thing that I was hinging on because Sally's the whole reason for it. Yeah. So that was what made me happy. It was not just that people responded well to it in general, but I've already had people be like, oh, I love Sally. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want.
Will there be merch coming along with this?
Yes. I actually, I think within a couple weeks, I've been doing some designs and
Christmas gifts.
Yeah. I want to get it out. I want to get it going before Christmas because I think, I've got some cool shirt ideas. There'll be a mug, Sally's spooky AF mug, that I'm gonna design. And so there's gonna be some cool stuff coming. And if you look out on the socials, it'll be there.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. In the meantime, what can we look forward to with the Backlot 605 special event coming up, isn't there?
Yeah, this Thursday. So the day this episode drops,
right. Yep.
We are doing a top 20 live countdown of the best Christmas movies. And this is one of the first live shows where I actually don't know everybody that's on the panel personally. Oh. So I have no idea how this is going to play out. Because it's a collaborative list. Mm-hmm. You've been to the shows. Yep. You know, 4 players, each person gets 5 picks randomly up the list.
The thing that I can't believe that's a part of the rules is once something's been mentioned, then that particular actor is out. Yeah. And they may have had several hits. Yep. And so forth. So it's interesting how it goes.
Yeah. It's tough, and it's easier when you know the people and you kind of know, like, oh,
Well,
they
what they're
love
into
that
and-
movie.
yeah.
This is what they're into. You can kind of stalk them on like Letterboxd and things and figure out what they're gonna play. And two of our people, I don't even have a Letterboxd to my knowledge, and I have no idea what their movie tastes are. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know what this list is gonna look like whatsoever. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a really good night. I'm really excited to do it.
Looking forward to it. Regrettably, we already have tickets to something else,
Right.
so won't be in attendance, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I will get the glimpses of it.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. No doubt about that. And by the way, congrats on the cartoon, comic
thank
strip,
you.
and so forth.
Yeah.
It's just what a great thing
Yeah.
that you have the ability to do that, and you have that art background as well. But my friend, there's always
Thank
two
you.
questions I like to ask at the end. One of which is, when you're not part of the arts and entertainment community, what do you like to be entertained by?
Okay.
Because we already know you're going to mention movies, because
Yeah.
that's a big part of what you do.
I definitely think, I watch a lot of movies. That's my escape. That's my entertainment. But I also, I listen to a lot of music. A lot of times, I just kind of put on my headphones and I'll just lounge out, or I'll dance around. Obviously when I'm alone, I don't dance in front of people, but yeah, I like to listen to music and just kind of, I don't know, get swept away by it.
Yeah.
So,
Any other hobbies then?
hobbies, I take care of my 2 cats. Does that count
Yes,
as a
it
hobby?
does.
Yeah, I just got a new cat actually.
That's
His name is
right.
Boris.
Yeah.
He's a black cat who Maria's dad found him, and he was like skin and bones when he found him, and now he's this chunky,
Yep.
content house cat that won't leave our laps, and
Yeah.
was audibly angry that I was leaving to go to
Oh.
this.
They get that way.
Yeah, he was not happy that I got home from work and I turned around and I left to come here.
All right, Sam. Always a great conversation. Love you, buddy. Happy holidays to you,
Yeah,
Marie.
happy holidays.
All right. Well, for me, every day's a holiday.
Yeah.
And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffett, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting. Put it down the front of your shirt. Stop being so, my hand won't follow. The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffett Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Happy holidays from everyone at Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. Always a pleasure to have new people on the show, and that's the case today again, as we have on the host of the new Late Night Boomin, Jack Unruh. Jack, how are you?
Wow, this is crazy. I'm great.
And well, you should be.
Well, thanks for having me
Because you're
on.
doing the type of job that I always wanted. You know, when I was a kid growing up, see, to me, there will never be a talk show host as great as Johnny Carson.
Mr. Carson.
Yeah, and so I grew up on that. You know, that was the first time that in the summer when I was in like 4th grade, I got to have a black and white TV in my bedroom and watch Johnny Carson late night.
You got to watch some Carson.
Yeah, and to hear my folks laughing in another room and so forth, and it was
Yeah.
just great. And it's like, that would be so fun to do.
Yeah.
What a great gig. And, you know, did plenty of years in radio, but never got to do, I got to have a talk show in radio, but that's a completely different thing. And what you're doing is my dream job. So I'm very jealous, but I'm thankful to have you on.
Well, hey, you know, I got to say, the first episode wouldn't have been what it was without you.
Oh.
on the
Santa,
episode.
Santa Claus, yeah.
Yes.
Santa showed up.
You made a drop-in Santa appearance, and it was awesome. Everyone loved it.
Yeah, fantastic time. And I tell you what, I was so thoroughly impressed. From the time I got there and looking around in the green room and seeing the notes and all the people involved and, taking a look at the way that the production itself was set up. I don't know a lot about video production, but I know enough to be dangerous. And then to see how everybody had their information all in the right order, not just for cues, but for, the cues for the cameraman and so forth and the sound people. And it's like, okay, this is not just a little, hey, we're here in Sioux Falls, we're having a fun little talk show. It's a professional thing going on.
Well, we're trying.
We're trying. You succeeded. Yeah. And, of course, you have the mutual friend, Zach Dresch.
That's right.
And Zach does the open and the close on this podcast and also does some other voice work for me from time to time and have been a great friend of Zach's now. I think we just had our friendiversary.
Really?
On Facebook, and we've got 5 years under the belt now.
The Facebook friendiversary.
Yeah, and so Zach is a dear, dear man, and he is your co-host.
Yes.
And so you come out there, I guess as I was watching that first episode and being involved in that first episode, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Jack's kind of like Conan. And Zach is like the other dude, yeah. Kind of working that way. And Zach does that, half tuxedo look.
Yeah.
And then wears his black Converse. But you come out in this beautifully tailored suit.
The suit.
And then nice sneakers.
Yes.
Is that your look? Is that your go-to?
So, I thought I've got dress shoes that I could wear, but they're just so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why go out there in these tight little dress shoes, and be all clomping around? I could go out in some neat basketball shoes.
Yeah.
My dad gave me he used to play basketball. And he gave me a bunch of boxes of his old Jordans and stuff like that from when they originally came out and stuff. He's like, son, you can wear these. And so in 8th grade, I used to wear them to basketball practice. They're way too big on me. And I broke most of them, but I still have some left. And so I was like, well, these would be kind of neat to wear with the suit. Yeah. So you just toss them bad boys on.
Well, if you're into sneakers, you really need to have Nathan Holtz on your show.
Yeah.
That man has thousands of dollars of sneakers.
Really?
Many of which have never been out of the box.
He's all about the sneakers.
He's got a fetish about him. Yeah, it's
his sneaker fetish.
I think it may need an intervention.
Really? It's getting to that point. Yeah. Have him on the podcast and be like, look, guy.
So I guess, you got to get me up to speed a little bit on this show because as I started to, look to find it as, waiting for the first episode and getting the clips on social media, I'm sitting there finding some old clips and so forth. So is this a rebirth of it?
Yeah.
What do you call it at this point?
Yeah. I mean, so basically what it was is when I was going to USF, my freshman year, right before I was about to go off to college, I really got into Jimmy Fallon. I was the original inspiration. I was like, man, this is so cool. And so when I was doing my tour of USF, I saw that they had this room there that looked like a set, that could be a late night set. And I was like, I wonder how hard it would be to make a late night show here. So we got to USF, found some people and, kind of tried to put together this late night show thing. And, it just so happened to come together and it was awesome. And the first episode went great. We did a second episode and then that's when Corona hit. And took everything down and we were unable to do it. So then this year rolls around and we're like, you know what? Let's try to do it even bigger this time. And so we're bringing it back.
Yeah, and then you get the Belbus Theater.
The Belbus Theater.
So a nice stage.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of pluses that come along by being there.
Oh, yeah.
What are we looking at in terms of a time frame? Is this going to be a once a month? What are the goals to get it to a once a week?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it's unfortunately right now it's a one show at a time basis.
Okay.
Because we have everything in place except for the sponsors. If we don't have sponsors, we don't have money for the show. And so that's where right now we're going out and we're looking for sponsors and trying to get people to be a part of it because, if we can build up some dough, then we can, get it maybe, once every other week or once a week, establish it kind of deal.
Yeah, very true. But I mean, it's just a fantastic concept, and I loved being part of the first one. Had another commitment when you were taping the. Do you say taping now, or do you just say recording?
You can say taping.
I can still say
fun.
taping. Okay,
it's still
All right.
hip.
Yeah, I'm old school very much. Said the man with his nice digital stuff.
I know, you got all the tech. You got your own water bottles here. Come on, you're all over it.
But anyway, it's just to see it. Regrettably, couldn't be at the second one, but looking forward to it. Right now, we're finding it on YouTube, right?
Yes.
And that's the channel for it.
Yep, we got YouTube. We do we promote it a lot on Facebook.
I see a lot of the other clips. Hey, here's what you missed if you weren't there here, but you can go to this.
Yep, Facebook's like a lot of the just trying to promote it, but YouTube's where we have all the content.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And think of that we have those things available to us now.
I know.
Yeah.
It's nuts. How like YouTube and just like all these things, you can just put stuff out there and everybody can see it just like that.
What got you interested? You talked about, watching Fallon and then going to USF and seeing they had a spot, but it still took a lot of gumption on your part, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was really just like, when the thought just comes into the mind, it's like, okay, this is what we want to do. How can we pull this off? So the Lord just kind of pulled this whole thing together and just totally all fell into place, the way everything happened and all the people that pitched in and helped out. And it was super cool to see how it I remember the very first show night, we're like, oh, like it's actually here. Like we're actually going to do it now, it's no longer just an idea. And, we kind of had the similar feeling when we brought it back at the pavilion too. It's like, it's just super cool how everything lined up and to play out the way it did.
Yeah. And, you had Al Newman from the Minnesota Twins,
yes.
2-time World Series champion. Now, I'm not a Twins fan. I'm a big Cubs fan.
Oh, yeah.
But it was still neat just talking to him in the green room and, having some fun with him and getting a picture taken with him. You don't have opportunities like that to come along. And now there's a second time. I know that you had Jamie Tucker on, who's an incredible comedian.
Oh, she's
here.
so funny.
All right, and don't ever call her a comedian.
I made that mistake.
Did you?
I even put it on line and everywhere that she's a comedian. And then we were at the roast of Zach Dresch.
Yeah.
And I think it was you that says, don't call her a comedian.
Nope. She's a comic.
Oh, I totally dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. Ball is on the floor at this point.
But who's going to be in episode number 3?
So
what are we looking at this point?
We're looking at this guy named Jimmy Weber. And he's from Omaha. Well, he's from South Dakota, but he lives in Omaha now.
Okay.
And he's like a country singer. He makes music. And Chuck Case, our drummer, he's actually like their best friends. And he served overseas, and he actually played in the Air Force band with Chuck. And so it's super cool. He's a big patriot, and he writes music, and he's asked to like do stuff for like memorials and stuff like that. And but he's also really funny. Like he's a really fun, upbeat guy. And so I think it'll be really cool to have him on next.
Okay. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Now, are you writing all of your own material for your monologue, or do you have a writer that helps out?
Yeah. So we actually have a writing team.
Okay.
And we meet like usually every Sunday afternoon, and we'll get together and we just we write all this stuff. We're like, okay, well, what's the concept for this episode? And we're trying to make this show, because our experience in the past has been like writing for movies and like shows and like writing scripts and stuff like that. And so now going into the live late night aspect is a whole different side of it, And so what we're trying to do is almost build a narrative with each episode, build kind of a storyline even through it. And so that's helped kind of shape it. But our writing team is just great. I mean, literally we can sit down and those guys, they can just come up with stuff like that, and it's so funny. We can't even get through a meeting because we're laughing so hard the whole time, But so they're great to write with, and that's how we get some awesome material.
Are you trying to memorize the monologues, or are you using cue cards?
Yeah.
Or a teleprompter?
We have cue cards. The first show I was really bad, really leaning on them. And then people are like, Jack, you got to stop looking up at the TVs. And I'm like, all right. So I tried for the second episode, I'm like trying to memorize them, you know, and then say it. It's tough. Zach's good at it. Zach's really good.
Great. Zach has told me before that he has see, I can't even remember, a photographic memory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because we were talking one time about memorizing scripts, you know, when you're in a play
Yep.
and so forth. And yeah, some people are very good at that.
We were filming our promo video actually right here on the 8th Street Bridge. And the thing is, like, I'm trying to find like a co-host and I can't find, everybody's saying no.
Yeah.
And I find Zach under a bridge. And so we're filming this down there and I hand him this script and it's like a 3-page script. And I'm like, okay, well, you just read me my lines and I'll say them as we go. So he'd read me my lines, I'd say them. And I hand him it, and I was like, do you want me to do the same thing for you? And he's like, why don't you hand me the script? He looks over it. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
We do the whole thing in like one take.
Yeah,
It was
amazing,
crazy.
isn't it?
He's great at it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, you know, you talked a little bit about who you're hoping to have on next, but then in the future then, how big are we looking to get? You know, are we looking at stars, celebrities, local, regional? What's going to be the crux of it?
That's that's one thing like where it'll be interesting to see kind of where it goes. You know, whether it's going to be, the next couple episodes we have in the near future are, you know, some local people and some names around here that people are going to know and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see if, like, you know, if the pavilion ever has like an act come through, if they want to, you know, maybe
Grab 'em at
stop
the
by
same-
the show,
yeah.
you know, so things like that where we'll really kind of see hopefully how it evolves and changes, you know.
You know, the first one was free to
Yep.
get into.
Yep.
Are you looking to build a little revenue though? Because
You know,
that was a huge crowd.
yeah, I mean, so the main goal right now is to keep it free. Love for it
So
to
find
be,
the sponsors.
Yes, it's all got to be sponsors, and in my opinion, I want it to be something where anyone can just come and enjoy it. Even if we made it $5, you know, we're like, oh,
Right.
if we made it $5, it's like, well, then you're gonna lose all the college students, you know, and it's like we want as many people to be able to come and enjoy it as possible. So the goal is to keep it free right now and try to get our sponsors to cover the costs.
What's the demographic you're looking for? Because you just mentioned, you know, you don't want to lose college students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, you know, you've got an old fart like me that thought it was just a blast.
Well, see, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of like late night television. I mean, like with Johnny Carson and things like that is you with like the online aspect, you have an ability to reach, you know, some of the younger crowd and things like that. But the classic late night format also, you know, reaches a wide range of ages and people. So, you know, I feel like that we're really trying to build something for everybody in the show, you know.
What's been the toughest part of putting it together?
Oh boy. Well, there's so many moving pieces to the show. You know, I mean, and here's the thing though, is that before the first show, it was totally overwhelming. We're like, all right, there's so much to do for this. Let me tell you something about our band. Chuck Case is the man. Everyone that's in that band that he's assembled.
He is incredible.
Oh my goodness. And so I call him up.
Including my good buddy, Ruben Rodriguez.
Oh, Ruben tickles that bass like none
Doesn't he though?
other.
Yeah.
Oh my! And so I'm like worried about the band. I'm like, am I gonna have to compose something? Am I gonna have to put something together and hold rehearsals for these guys? I call up Chuck Case and I'm like, hey Chuck, I kind of tell him the idea, what we're wanting to do, and he's like, you know, that sounds really cool. He's like, I think let me get back to you. 2 days later, he calls me up. Hey, so I wrote the theme song already. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get all these guys. And so, I mean, literally, like I said, I mean, the way the Lord has just brought these people into our lives to just like make this whole thing happen. The band being as great as they are. Zach being an incredible co-host. People like you that are willing to come on and be really fun and, you know, make it a great show for everyone. It's just... And so it really, things have just been falling into place. But I would say the hardest part of it all is like the fact that there's so many different parts to kind of handle.
Well, here after seeing you in the green room after that first episode, I thought you might answer with tying a tie.
The tie. The second episode I wore a zip tie.
Good for you.
Yeah. But,
more than one way to skin that cat.
I know. The first episode, actually, here's what happened is I know how to tie the basic version of a tie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it's like, I wanted to do something kind of fancy. And it's like 15 minutes before the first episode. I finally get to the back room. I'm like, all right, let me put on the suit now. And my mom's like, I just got this dry clean for you. And she had picked the wrong suit because I was expecting to wear the other suit or whatever. And so minor bump, but it just kind of threw me off. I was like, oh, this is a different suit. I kind of had a different thought in mind or whatever. And so I was like, well, now I got to get this tie tied. And I was like, I don't want to do just the basic tie. And I was like, Al, Al, do you know how to tie a good tie? And he's like, come over here. So I sat next to Al Newman, and he ties my tie, and it's like he does it really well or whatever.
Yeah, you looked sharp.
And looking snazzy. Yeah. So I'll probably take about a good 5 hours to get the next tie for the third show. You know,
zip tie though.
Zip ties.
Now that's class.
That's class.
Yeah,
hey,
that it is.
Who's gonna know?
Exactly.
Unless we blast it all over the Dave Holly hour.
Well, true. Yeah. Now the secret's out.
The secret's out.
You know, in that second episode, Jack was actually wearing a zip tie. Fashion faux pas.
I can't believe it. Front page of the Argus Leader.
One of the things that you've incorporated, which most modern late night shows have at some point, is games.
Yes.
Yeah.
The games aspect of it.
Are you hoping to come up with a different one each time, or are we going to see some repeats because somebody says, hey, that was great, man, I hope you guys do it again?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like we want to get segments that are good enough to do recurring, you know, but we also don't want people to think that we're running out of ideas, you know, and so we'll have some things that recur, like, okay, the final game of the first episode with the Little League kids. Oh. Out of control.
Very much, but great.
But I mean, it was literally just them coming up stage and throwing cake and bread at a net that bounces back. Just chaos.
Yeah.
But it was so funny, you know, the way it all happened. And the second episode, our final game, we did, you have to like say these certain words to a beat. And if you screw up, you have to put hot sauce on your tongue. And the hot sauce was way too hot, like way too hot. And so we were like dying out there. We couldn't even like close out the show. It was a disaster, but it was really funny. And so like, that's kind of the challenge now is like, I always feel like you kind of got to step it up with each game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
so you've got, number 3 ideas out there. When is it going to be done?
Yeah. We're looking at December 16th right now. It's a mid-December kind of deal. The only thing is that's the same night as the new Spider-Man movie comes out, so we're going to be fighting.
And it's also the night that Midtown Coffee Radio Hour has their show live at Augustana.
Really?
Said the host.
Uh-oh. Well, we're going to be tossing some hands. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see, though, you know, if we can get
at this time of year, though, I mean, with how much we have grown and how much we have going on, like I tell people, and they're saying, well, we can't do it because of this, can't do it. It's like, you know what? Get out a dartboard and put dates on it and then throw darts.
Yeah.
And say, okay, yeah, we'll go with that date.
Right.
And then just promote it like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, do it as best you can. So, you know, it's tough because there is so much going on. But, you know, that also has a great plus to it. At least for me, I've got so many people to interview yet on this. And for you too, then. You know, look at all the things because, you know, think of the actors that we have in this community, the different arts organizations, the visual artists, the photographers, the, you know, musicians, singer-songwriters, and so forth. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started this over 2 years ago, I wrote down a list of between... It was at least 50. It was probably 75. I don't know if it was quite 100. I still have a majority of that list that I haven't checked off because as I go to things, I see new people, meet new people like yourself, and it's like, got to have them on.
Yeah.
And so there's just so much available. So I have no doubt that Late Night Boomin is going to have a great time in putting together the shows. And just, you know, hoping that, you know, the financial part, the sponsorship comes along.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's just like you said, like I was going through your episodes today on Apple Podcasts and like there's just such an undercurrent of like creative, like talent here. And that's why like the Dave Holly show and, you know, like hopefully our show, you know, is really cool way to like highlight the people in the area.
True.
that like it's like, okay, guys, look at what's happening around here. You know what I mean? There's so much going on.
Well, and the other thing is, and the thing that I talk about almost every episode is that all of this arts and entertainment community, it's a collaboration. It's not competition.
No.
You know, there's not cutthroat. In fact, your recent guest, Jamie Tucker, I had her on not too far back, and we were talking about it because she's been performing in some pretty big places, you know, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Los Angeles, and so forth. And, you know, the people that she talks to there are amazed that it's not so cutthroat like it is in the cities they're in.
Yeah.
And so it's just great to see the way this community works together.
Oh yeah, that's a great way of putting it. And like even at the roast of Zach Dresch last week, which was, I have not laughed that hard in a long time.
That was a great 2 hours,
that was
wasn't it?
so funny. And like I just realized like, wow, there's a lot of great comedians. Like it's like I've got to see these people, and like I got to start going to these shows and see all this stuff. And so, you know, that's at least for us what's been really cool is like with in the process of making the show is you get to meet all these people. And like you said, when you go to things, you start meeting people and seeing things, and just like it's the rabbit trails everywhere, you know? It's super cool.
That it is. It's super cool. It's a show called Late Night Boomin', and Jack Unruh is the host. Our very own Zach Dresch. Don't say that. Our very own Zach Dresch is co-host, sidekick type, and so forth. It's been enjoyable to see the progress of it, and I'm looking forward to even more of those episodes coming along. What are you looking forward to most with it?
Oh, man. I'm just, you know, the hope is, you know, in going forward, just to be able to see the growth of it and really try to create some energy and create something that the people of Sioux Falls are going to want to be a part of and going to want to come see, and, you know, just make a fun time for everyone.
Yeah. Well, we wish you the best. That's for sure. Always 2 questions I like to ask once we get to the end of the conversation. When you're not part of the entertainment community, what do you like to go out and be entertained by?
Oh, what do I go out and be entertained by? Well, I love a good movie.
Okay.
You know, I love watching a good movie. I like playing a good video game. You know, I like sitting down on the couch, turning on the PS4, and just listening to some music. That's like the best. Oh, I love it. What about you?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I love old movies. I also like baseball movies especially.
Oh, yeah?
And I listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, what kind of music do you like?
Good.
Good music.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to force me to tell the story.
Let's hear it.
So, 7, 8 years ago probably, maybe even longer back than that, I found out that my high school band teacher was in his last days, and he was at Sanford, had some cancer, and I went up to see him, and they'd done a biopsy of some sort inside his mouth, and so it was filled with gauze and so forth, so he couldn't speak, but his eyes could still twinkle. And I told him, I said, Tom, I want to tell you 2 things. I said, the first time, or every time that someone finds out that I've been in radio, they always have the same question. Well, what's your favorite music? I said, I tell them the same thing, and I've never wavered. Good. I said, because you taught us that. Because you taught us appreciation of music. I said, I didn't grow up in the 1940s, but I love big band music. And, you know, there were so many different things that he had and so forth. I said, and the other thing is, you know, any sports memorabilia, you know, pennants, you know, Letterman's jacket, all that, medals, long gone. But I said, there's one thing that's at my desk, always has been and always will be, and that's the 1981 Louis Armstrong Jazz Award that you gave me. And he smiled. I said goodbye. Last I ever saw him.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's my love of music And that's why I especially support the Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues organization here in town, and have volunteered for them and helped them out. But I do love, and my friend Mike Hendrickson, who was just on last week, he is famous for saying, live music is good for the soul. So Carrie and I try to get out to as many events where there's live music as we can, and have come to know some great people because of that. Mm-hmm. And then she and I, we get out quite a bit. We like to eat out, and we like to support local. Mm-hmm. And here we are at Our Wine Bar, and we're going to be here again in a couple of nights. And we just enjoy the camaraderie that comes along with helping support local. And then I like to read. I don't get as much time as I'd like because I'm busy with this podcast and associated with a few others as well. And then we have a cat, and she takes up a lot of our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love cats.
You are the first person. I think you're like guest number 226 or something along that line that's ever thrown it back at me and said, what about you?
Oh, come on. Come on. No, I think that's such a... And I don't want to, go over our time here, so shut me up.
It's a podcast. We have no time limitations.
Shut me up if I'm going too long. But you're so right about appreciating things for what they are, and like even going back to what you said about it's not a competition in Sioux Falls. It's complimentary, you can appreciate things for what they are, and not everything needs to be like compared, and like people, it's just so cool. Like I know my dad likes to come here and see like the live jazz play and stuff like that. It's so cool to be able to like see different genres of music and the different things that are going on in town. So absolutely.
That it is. It's wonderful. And so thankful that we have a community that's growing to that as well. Holiday plans?
Oh, boy. You know what? I think survive one. And probably, hopefully get to see some pals. Everybody's off at college right now. So that's, hopefully I get to see them. I'll throw it back your way. How about you?
Well, there's a person that has a red velvet suit that's going to be incredibly busy this month.
Oh, you got some work to do.
That I do. And then actually on Christmas Day, I'm hoping we get down to Rock Rapids so I can see my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
She's in assisted living down there, and she's 93 and still quite snappy.
Yeah. No firecracker.
That she is. So we have a good time, and so hopefully you get down for that. But otherwise, just enjoy the season. My wife and I both love cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we watch those at least one a night, and and then listen to a lot of Christmas music even year round.
Oh, why limit it? Why limit it to a month?
Yeah.
Come on. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie that you're like, this is the best?
Oh, White Christmas is way up there for us.
Yeah.
For us as a couple, and we've seen the plays and so forth, the musicals, and we will always watch that every year. But then there are some. Okay, the past couple of years, the Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah?
With Kurt Russell.
You like that one?
Oh, loved that.
I started it. I watched the first 5 minutes, and then I had to like go or something.
Really?
I couldn't finish it. But
man.
yeah, I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And then there's one that hardly anybody knows about. And it was about Christmas 1981 or 82. And all my, I shouldn't say all my siblings, I only have one of each, but, everybody, in-laws and grandkids and so forth are all together. And it was the Saturday before Christmas, and all the ladies went downtown to do some shopping. So all the guys are sitting there, and Dad says, oh, let's try this out. And it's got Ed Asner in it, and he's divorced from his wife, and he's estranged from one of his sons, and it's called The Homecoming. Not to be confused with the old show of the Waltons, or the movie that started the Waltons,
Sure.
called The Homecoming. But and he's dying of cancer, so he comes back to his home where his ex-wife is and wants to get all the kids together. And she's upset when she finds out that he's got cancer, and then they don't want to tell any of the kids. And the one son goes to the mom and says, "Mom, I have 2 presents that I've been considering for Dad, but I want to know which one you think I should give him, because I can get him some booze, or I can get him a new fishing pole, rod and reel. But see, he wouldn't be able to use that until the spring, where he could use the booze now." And so he's figured it out. That doesn't tell anybody else. So, and then the estranged son finally comes back home and so forth. And so the ladies get back to find all of us men watching HBO. The lights are low, and we've got Kleenex boxes all over the place.
Just crying up the storm.
So we're just like, so that's one that, and it's tough to find.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fortunate enough I have a copy on DVD.
Oh, yeah.
So I can pop it in and watch it, but you rarely ever see it.
Wow.
Showing and so forth, but yeah.
You gotta love a good heart-tugging flick.
Oh, yeah.
Come
no
on.
doubt about that.
That's like my favorite Christmas movie, and my favorite movie actually is It's a Wonderful Life. It's
Say no more.
I mean, come on. It can't get
Favorite
better.
line?
Jesus pedals. What's your favorite line?
When the bell rings at the end?
Yeah.
Attaboy, Clarence.
Attaboy, Clarence.
Yeah. I love that one.
You know, you're kind of a funny-looking little fellow, ain't you? Oh, that's such a great... It's such a good message and just such a good movie, you know? And it holds up.
Yes, it does. Ironically, was panned when it first came out.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It didn't get popular till like the 60s, I think, or something like that.
And it's just, such a piece of Americana now.
Yeah.
It's incredible that way. And then I just read the other day that Jimmy Stewart was suffering from PTSD during the filming of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, that even puts more of it in light.
Yeah.
Of what that show was like.
When did Jimmy Stewart die? Do you know?
Probably 20 years ago, maybe.
So he did. Yeah. He lived to see its success. He lived to see.
Yes, he
its
did.
Success.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, see, now you're going to get me on the Jimmy Stewart thing. Because we started off talking about Johnny Carson. One of the greatest moments on Carson's Tonight Show, Jimmy Stewart read a poem that he had written about their dog that they just lost.
Really?
Everybody's passing around the Kleenex on that one.
Wow.
And of course, it's read in that meter that only Jimmy Stewart would be able to read it in.
That's pretty good.
It's just,
that's
great
crazy,
stuff.
Man.
All right. You talk about time. We're at 34 minutes right now, and that's fine. Hey. So we'll end it with this then. Favorite part about Christmas?
Favorite part about Christmas? Oh, man. Aside from like the whole Christmas message and everything that it means, the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
It's very cozy time. It's a very time to get together with the fam. But then it's also really cool to, go through the Advent again in church and, really like put into perspective, like everything that Jesus has done for us and stuff like that. And so I love going through that. Again, I probably have to say my least favorite part is post Christmas. Christmas is like, I'd say Thanksgiving is like Friday. Everybody loves Saturday. Everybody loves Christmas. But once it's over, it's like, we got...
Post-Christmas is a long Monday.
It's a long Monday. What about you? What's your favorite part about Christmas?
Favorite part is just being with my love.
Yeah.
And we'll sit around and we play a game every day, and she's had the Christmas tree up already for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And every day, it's like, what's your favorite? And that means, what's your favorite ornament on the tree today?
Yeah.
And every day we go through that as to which one's striking our eyes and striking the fancy. So, that's
awesome.
become a really, really fun tradition for us.
Yeah. Do you have any funky ornaments?
Let's see, funky ones at the time. No. We've got them from, every city that we go to.
Really?
Yeah, so we've got ornaments from Chicago. We've got ornaments from Las Vegas, things like that. She has one being on a skateboard, because she was a skateboarder when she was a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then I've got a Chicago Cubs and an Alabama Crimson Tide and a Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I've got those. But we have a lot of Santa Claus ones for, obvious reasons.
Of course. Yes. Come on.
And I think our mutual favorite is one that is just the Santa suit coat.
Oh, yeah.
Santa's not in it. It's just
the coat.
Just the coat part.
Yeah.
And that is a favorite of ours every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always love that.
Our tree's a mess. A total mess.
Ours is eclectic.
Yeah. I mean, and we don't throw any ornaments away, and we just keep getting more.
Yeah.
I bet same way.
Pretty much.
It's just you can't even see the tree anymore. It's just a pile of ornaments.
Well, because we have a lot of Christmas stuff that stays up all year long anyway.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the household.
Yeah.
But we also live in 660 square feet. And lots of Christmas stuff all the time.
A lot of Christmas.
Yep.
A lot of Christmas going on. You got to stay holly and jolly.
Oh, and I always do, and I hope you do the same.
Absolutely.
All right. Jack Unruh, it has been a pleasure.
Thanks,
we wish you the best with Late Night Boomin.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a great time.
All right. Look forward to many more. And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
Your time's up.
Thanks again to my wonderful guest, Jack Unruh from Late Night Boomin', from Backlot 605 Podcast and Cartooning, Sam Lenz. Always a good time with those people. Next week, by the way, Betsy Gorham and Casey Schultz are going to be along with us. They're in the Yuletide Cabaret, being brought to you by Goodnight Theater Collective. I always want to say corporation or something. Goodnight Theater Collective. And then also a fine young actor, Tristan Chasinghawk. He's in A Christmas Carol. Oh, by the way, that opens tonight. That's what Miss Carrie's and I will be headed toward. After all, it's her birthday month, too. And then her big choice, Friday night, Sean Johnson's Big Band Experience, and they're going to be having their holiday show at the Washington Pavilion. Then Saturday, well, there's this guy that wears a red velvet suit. He's a little chubby, got some white hair, white beard, mustache. He will be out at Spellbound Magic Shop and Theater from 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday evening. And you can come by and have pictures taken with good old Santa Claus. So that's what's going to do it for this week. Thanks again, as always, to the man that put the R in our wine bar. That would be Ricardo Terabelsi. I'd love to say that name. And always next week we can't because he's got a private gig going on there at our wine. You should think of any time you need a great place to have a little meeting, but you want to have, some good food and good wine to go along with it, consider our wine. And then also, as always, thanks to you for the listenership, for the sharing on social media, everything that you do. Now, if you could just do me one more favor, buy me a cup of coffee. Go to DaveHollyHour.com. You're going to find a little coffee mug on there, or cup, I guess it is, actually. Click on that, and you can make a contribution to the show so that we can, always continue to make sure that we pay the place that puts the show up on the internet. That's kind of important. But I would appreciate it if you could do that for me. Hey, Christmas plus holiday spirit and my birthday in 2 weeks from today. All right. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffett Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to DaveHollyHour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.